Video games can make you feel many great things. Excitement, hell yeah. Thrills, you better believe it. An actual sense of success and control over your life? Oh boy, yes. Still, alongside all the typical cheers, jeers and fears, there are also times when video games can just bloody take your breath away. And that's what we're here to talk about today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 breathtaking video game moments we'll never forget. Number 10. Your first skydive. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Breath of the Wild had one of the best world reveals in gaming, as stepping out of the Shrine of Resurrection to see Hyrule for the first time was absolutely mind-blowing. But then came Tears of the Kingdom, which managed to go even further. In this seminal sequel, you return to Hyrule, albeit with some gravity turned off. Your first look at the newest area that you'll be exploring, the Great Sky Island, comes as you perform a leap of faith, jumping from a great height and soaring through the air. In typical Zelda fashion, both the visuals and the score are spectacular. The music swells in a mighty crescendo that feels like the beginning of an epic adventure. Additionally, the dragon seen in the distance adds a dash of magic to this pitch-perfect video game moment, especially with the added context on your second playthrough. There was so much concern as to whether the sequel could capture the majesty of its predecessor, but this moment made it clear from the offset you had nothing to worry about. Number 9. Despite everything, it's still you. Undertale. Undertale is one of those genius games that lures you in with its cute aesthetic and quirky characters before blindsiding you with heartfelt moments. It's a superbly written game that can get you right in the feelings with only a few words. That's why it's no surprise that this well-placed line cuts so deep. During the early stages of Undertale, you can walk around the lovable Toriel's house and look into a mirror. If you do, the text says, "It's you." Isn't that just adorable? But there's no way that this will come back around later in some massively profound moment, right? Wrong! It totally does. In the latter stages of the non-genocide run, where you choose to avoid harming every opponent in the game, you'll find yourself at Asgore's home. The option to look in the mirror presents itself once again, but this time you're greeted with the words, "Despite everything, it's still you." This one sentence captures all the work, struggle, experience and emotion of the Undertale journey in a neat little package. If you can see this prompt and feel nothing, well, you probably got a stone in place of your heart. Number 8. The Giraffes, The Last of Us. Now, the post-apocalypse can definitely be terrifying, as shown in many video games, but this Last of Us scene shows that, to borrow a trick from Undertale, despite everything, there's always beauty in the world. It's safe to say that Joel and Ellie get put through the ringer throughout The Last of Us. This lovable duo go through some of the worst things imaginable, but they're always struggling along together. But there's one memorable moment of respite where Ellie catches something beautiful. As you approach the game's climax, a scene will play out where a disheveled Ellie suddenly gets a burst of energy and chases after something you can't see. Eventually you spot what brought on her fit of passion, a herd of giraffes migrating into the city. You even get a chance to get close to one of them as the beautiful music starts to swell. Naturally, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson played the scene to perfection and easily convey the significance of this encounter. It's a touching sequence that gives you a sense of hope within this rather hopeless world. Number 7. The Funeral, Harold Halibut. Now, this one comes with a hefty spoiler warning for the recently released Harold Halibut. The creative, unique, and ultimately bizarre Harold Halibut is a gaming experience like no other. It has a gorgeous stop-motion-based visual style and doesn't press too hard on the gas pedal, allowing for a cozy, if at times high-stakes, narrative experience. However, just because it's sweet and low-key doesn't mean that it can't break your heart. Throughout this strange sci-fi title, you'll play as the titular Harold and meet a slew of lovable characters aboard an underwater space station, and one of these wonderful folk is the postman Buddy, an older gentleman who loves exercising as well as delivering the mail. Harold grows close to Buddy, even reading beautifully written letters with him in some rather touching moments. But sadly, just a few hours into the game, Buddy unexpectedly passes and you must attend his funeral. The whole sequence captures the essence of this game. The visuals are lovely, the voice acting is top-notch, and you really do feel like you've lost somebody that you could call a friend. Damn, it's a game about a guy named after a fish. How is it this gut-wrenching? Number 6. Seeing your first Colossus, Shadow of the Colossus. The irony behind this moment is really that it should come as no surprise. I mean, you're playing a game called Shadow of the Colossus, so you naturally should go in expecting to see some pretty big things. Still, nothing compares to seeing your first Colossi and realizing just how small they make you feel. Shadow of the Colossus puts you in the shoes of a young man on a mission to slay 16 Colossi around a fantasy land. The first of these encounters is a hulking beast known as Valus, whose introduction sets the stage for an epic battle. battle. After entering the monster's domain, you see them just walk past you, and as you trail behind them and take a few shots with your bow, he turns and comes your way. This is where you get your first sight of how minuscule you are when compared to your foes, and it will leave you utterly stunned. Now, this might not be the most impressive colossi you encounter during your quest, but the benchmark that their introduction establishes is rather massive, pun intended. Number 5. A cryptid revealed. Disco Elysium. If dense role-playing games are your jam, then Disco Elysium is the slice of toast you desperately need to try. Toast. This wacky detective game is brimming with wonderful storytelling, intense RPG elements, witty writing, and plenty more. And no moment within this game captures that better than this rather stunning encounter. One of the most entertaining side adventures in Disco Elysium is your hunt for the Enceladian Phasmid. This mysterious cryptid is something you look for at the behest of a collection of cryptozoologists, but all signs point towards it being nothing but a legend. However, that assumption gets flipped on its head right after you meet the creature, and it is utterly beautiful. Rather than being hostile, the Phasmid, depending on your actions, speaks to you and tells you that it's in awe of you. That's right, this massive stick insect thinks that you are amazing simply for surviving being human. Hell, it's even rooting for you. This incredible encounter is a poignant step in the protagonist's journey, accepting that all the flaws and cracks in his life won't stop him from living on. And that's not a bad insight for a big old bug like this. Number 4. The ending, Before Your Eyes. Now, this entry contains major spoilers for Before Your Eyes, so you might need some tissues because, it's a doozy. Before Your Eyes is a narrative adventure game that has you using your eyes, shocking, I know, as the controller, playing as the recently deceased Benjamin Bryn as he talks with the mysterious ferryman. The two explore your memories, searching for a story to convince an elusive gatekeeper to allow you into paradise. You learn that Benjamin supposedly lived a compelling life, growing up to become a celebrated artist. However, it's revealed towards the game's climax that this whole thing was a lie. Tragically, Benny never became an adult as he died of a terminal illness before he could. The final scene breaks your heart as the ferryman tells the gatekeeper the story of this child that was taken from the world too soon, and Benny's mother reads him a letter that celebrates the short life that he lived. Before Your Eyes POV gameplay makes you really feel like you are Benny. As such, learning how loved he was in his brief life hits harder than a punch to the heart. Number 3. Crossing the border into Mexico. Red Dead Redemption. Music is the kind of thing that you might not always notice in video games, but it's vital to the equation. Red Dead Redemption has one of the finest case studies for this, as one choice of song makes all the difference and creates one of the most beautiful moments in gaming. The scene in question is when John Marston makes his way to Mexico for the first time, galloping across the border as the song Far Away by Jos Gonzalez accompanies him. It's simple, effective, and utterly breathtaking. The song choice is perfect as it encourages you to really take the journey in. Sure, you're traveling into a new area, but you're also taking another big step in John Marston's story. Gonzalez's beautiful vocals and poignant lyrics reflect just how far the character has come. He's far away from his family, his home, and the life that he's searching for. The combination of music and visuals turn what could have been just a standard sequence into something unforgettable. Nuanced moments like this prove why Rockstar is such a top-tier studio. Number 2. Den Blomsterede Nu Kommer. Bramble the Mountain King. Can a thing be desperately beautiful and downright terrifying at the same time? Well, yes, it can be, and Bramble the Mountain King is proof of that. You see, most of the game will have you cowering in fear, but one scene is so hauntingly beautiful that it wets your eyes rather than your pants. Bramble has you playing as a young boy, as he encounters Scandinavian mythological creatures on a quest to find his sister. He comes close to perishing at one point at the hands of a troll, but is saved by daybreak as the sun's light turns it into stone, and thus begins Bramble's most enchanting sequence. As you free yourself from the petrified troll, you step into a well-lit meadow of beautiful grass, daisies, and animals. This pretty picture is accompanied by the song Den Blomsterede Nu Kommer, sung wonderfully by Björn. This chance to frolic in nature gives you a blissful sense of nostalgia, that feeling of sitting in a field with the grass on your skin and the wind in your hair. It's a spectacular respite from the fear that you'll experience in almost every other segment. And number 1, seeing Limgrave for the first time, Elden Ring. Now, kicking off with the world reveal in Tears of the Kingdom makes it appropriate to end with another. However, while Tears of the Kingdom did something spectacular, Elden Ring went for something altogether otherworldly. From Software's Elden Ring features easily one of the richest open worlds ever made. The Lands Between boasts all the best features that a gamer can dream of, including size, quality, and content. And thankfully, the beginning of this game, Well, it is just absolutely breathtaking. After plunging around in the training cave, if you choose to do so, you'll ride up an elevator, open a door, and boom, there it is. The music swells as you enter Limgrave, and it's so impressive, you will need a minute or two to take it all in. There's so much to unpack with this world reveal, like the beautiful distant architecture, the rogue tree sentinel, the utter vastness before you, and the unmistakable allure of the massive Erd tree. It's so ambitious and huge that you just know that you're in for a treat. Seeing Elden Ring's world for the first time is something that most gamers will never forget.